Story 5. Last night. Last night, my friend hurried me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I noticed my phone was missing from my pocket. I checked the table where we were sitting, the bar, and the bathrooms, but had no luck finding it. I borrowed my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered with a low, raspy giggle before hanging up. They didn't answer again. Eventually, I gave up, assuming it was lost for good. Feeling dejected, I headed home. When I arrived home, I found my phone lying on my nightstand, right where I had left it. Story 4. The bus driver. When I was a kid, I was always the last to be picked up by the bus driver for school. One day, I was waiting alone for the bus when a bus with no kids pulled up. The driver smiled and told me to hop on. I had a bad feeling and asked, "Where are the other kids?" He said we would pick them up now and insisted I get on. Despite his persistence, I kept refusing. He eventually shrugged and left. The real bus arrived a few minutes later, taking me to school. That night, I told my parents. They were visibly worried and made several phone calls, realizing the potential danger I had narrowly avoided. Story 3. The lady next door. A few years back, I rented a newly renovated apartment from a friend. After moving in, I noticed the lady next door was peculiar. She was about 45, but looked much older, staying up all night listening to Christian radio shows and talking loudly. Unable to sleep, I asked her to keep it down and saw her apartment covered in crosses and scribbled words like Jesus and angels. It was filthy with dog mess and cockroaches, but no dog. Ignoring my plea, she stared at me, shut the door, and turned the radio up louder. That night, I woke to find her by my bed, holding something. She whispered, "You should lock your doors at night," and left. The next morning, I saw her with a bag containing her dead dog, talking in tongues. Terrified, I asked a neighbor who confirmed her erratic behavior. I called the cops, who knew her as a violent schizophrenic. They finally took her away at 2 a.m. Story 2. The man on the bicycle. I was about 15 minutes from finishing the night shift at work when a rock crashed through one of the windows in the office. Working in the industrial district at 11:30 at night, I was unnerved by the incident. I called security and decided to head home. As I was leaving, I realized my car had been unlocked the whole time. Panicked, I checked the back seat for any hidden threats, but found nothing. I called a friend and decided to join him for a drink. While riding my bicycle to meet him, I noticed someone riding behind me. He passed me slowly, giving me a deranged smile. I realized he was riding my mom's bike. I rushed home to find her bike missing and one of my car doors open, the one I hadn't needed to use. Someone had been in my car. Story 1. The payphone. I worked the night shift at a campground from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. in an isolated shack with only darkness around. My first week there, the previous third shift guy told me about a payphone nearby that rang every night at 4:17 a.m. He never answered it, thinking it was just an automated test call. In mid-August, I started leaving the windows open and heard the phone ring every night at 4:17 a.m. The ring was eerie, like it was submerged in water. I decided to answer it. For a week, I answered the phone only to hear dead air. A month later, I tried again. This time, I heard someone inhale through clenched teeth. The voice, rough and gravelly, said my full name. Terrified, I hung up and used *69 to trace the call. It came from California. I lived in Indiana. Thank you for joining me on these chilling journeys. If you enjoyed these stories, be sure to subscribe to Sinisterna, where the shadows come alive and every night holds a new terror. Don't miss out on the next spine-tingling tale. Hit that notification bell and stay scared.